I'm so against the death penalty. A state-sanctioned, dispassionate, ceremonial taking of a human life. I've been an eyewitness to 5 executions. They were vile, debased, and felt horrifyingly sadistic. And yet, the thought of Sean Harmon being killed feels so good and just. It turns out, you see, while the death penalty might not be moral, revenge is. Studies are now surfacing which show that vengeance, specifically the self-help kind, is good, healthy even, like oat bran. New findings based on brain scans show that we get a burst of activity in our prefrontal cortex from the very act of punishing those who break social norms. And here's the best part. Relying instead on the state to avenge our harms doesn't cut it. That, in fact, weakens our moral instincts. According to recent findings at Arizona State University, morality requires people to respond to the quality of another person's acts. Letting the state or somebody else do your bidding is, in fact, moral cowardice. This explains why one can be opposed to the death penalty and nevertheless delighted that Patrice Kelly shot Sean Harmon dead. Vengeance is sometimes right, as it was here. The reason we all want Patrice to go free, the reason we get that little shot of activity in our dorsal striatums when we think of Patrice Kelly in her temporarily insane state putting a bullet in Sean Harmon's head is because it was the moral thing to do. This man bludgeoned her daughter to death with a vodka bottle. If it had been your child who was killed, had your child's murderer walked away free with no consequences, no remorse, you would have wanted to do exactly as she did. Mr. Betts admonished you to consider the truth of what happened in this case, but in reality, he only wants you to consider the bare police report facts. And as William Faulkner once said, facts and truth really don't have much to do with each other. The truth in this case is that in a moment of divine irrationality, a great wrong was set right. And justice was finally done.
Aliens?
No, not aliens, Your Honor. Just their mode of transportation. The point is, it bears no reflection on his ability to perform as a cognitive therapist. To terminate...
Were they green with big eyes?
Your Honor, he did not see the occupants of the craft, simply...
The little antennae growing on their heads?
Good morning, Your Honor. Jerry Espenson representing Boston Memorial. Please note my objection that respondent did not receive notice of this proceeding, and as such, I would ask that you Jerry!
Alan!
Oh, I had no idea you were opposing counsel.
Nora, you represent Boston Memorial.
My practice is going very well. I changed medications. Did you not get my email?
I did, but Jerry, wow, this is a huge client.
Why are the lawyers hugging?
Your Honor, opposing counsel and I are good friends.
Given that, notice, Alan?
It's ex parte.
Fair enough.
You look fantastic.
Stop it! I won't have happiness in my courtroom.
Your Honor, the termination was entirely lawful. Dr. Zinabinacroft has lost touch with reality.
I would like to question the person who decided to fire him.
Fair enough. This afternoon?
Well, I'm already in trial at 2. Could we do it at 3? 3 works. 3 o'clock then.
Silence! I get to decide. You two huggers don't get to make the rules. I'm the decider. 3 o'clock.
The business standard for internet security. If Mr. Hayden uses his criminal ingenuity to illegally obtain information, that's horrible. But it's what he chose to do.
Mr. Orchard, according to my records, your company generates approximately $1.5 billion in revenues each year. Is that right?
Approximately.
Oh, forgive me, Your Honor. Before I began my cross-examination, I meant to congratulate Mr. Orchard. His wife recently gave birth to a beautiful baby daughter.
Thank you.
8 pounds, 15 ounces. Healthy? Happy?
Thank goodness. Yes.
She was a bit jaundiced when she came out, though. Had a little fluid in her lungs which needed to be aspirated.
Sorry?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disregard your other children, which so often happens with the arrival of the new one. You have a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, I just thought Mr. Orchard would like to know his 10-year-old Carly likes Max Babcock. Though Max doesn't know if he likes her back. At least that's what I ascertained from the chat room.
Objection.
All this objecting, Mr. Javanka, you seem in such a nasty mood. Could it be the new Lexus you ordered online from a broker has been delayed? Gosh, I hope you're not forced to keep driving that sedan with the dent in it from your recent fender bender.
Mr. Shore!
Yes, Your Honor. By the way, you need to renew your car registration. But congratulations on your colonoscopy.
Mr. Shore!
Too personal? It was just information I was able to obtain from websites which employ the accepted business standard for internet security. That is what you called it, Mr. Orchard, correct?
Correct.
Here's what I don't understand. You're a billion-dollar company. You're in the business of ensuring the health and well-being of your clientele. And yet, you weren't able to ensure the safety of their records. Which you could have done had you spent just a fraction of those billions on internet security.
Mr. Shore, as we all know, healthcare costs have spun out of control. Information technology is the single largest cost for us and for all other Fortune 1000 companies. If we had upgraded to a more secure system, more people would have had to do without healthcare.
And yet fewer would have been murdered. The truth is, as Americans, we love torture. We keep it to ourselves, of course, but come on, when it comes to evildoers, torture's okay. Hollywood certainly knows that. Dirty Harry, Charles Bronson in Death Wish, Denzel Washington in Man on Fire. Heroes torturing the bad guys. In theaters all across the country, we cheered. We like torture. Is there potential for abuse? Without question. The events at Abu Ghraib prison were deplorable. But do we really believe they just happened in a vacuum? Alberto Gonzales, our Attorney General, wrote a memo to the administration saying torture is okay. Our Supreme Court just recently held that evidence gained from torture can be used in trials. Alan Dershowitz, one of the leading civil rights activists in our country, raised the idea of using torture warrants. So as at least to be more open about it, torture warrants. Love that torture. Mr. Preston talks about the victim here being an innocent man. Now, come on, he wasn't that innocent. He did harbor a fugitive, one who kidnaps and kills children. He did have information that ultimately led to the rescue of the child here. And he refused to give it up until he was coerced. As for my client being above the law, well, the law in this country has always been subject to evolving community standards of humanity. So the 12 of you get to go back there as a community and ask yourselves, was this a good thing or not? He's happy. He's alive. They're sure as hell happy. My client saved a life. That little boy's life. If it were your child, wouldn't you want the police to do whatever was necessary? This officer got the job done, using a method that our government, our military, our Attorney General, and yes, even our Supreme Court has said is sometimes okay. Sometimes, depending on the situation, torture's okay. Just don't tell anybody.
Defendant, please rise. The jury has reached a unanimous verdict.
We have, Your Honor.
Please state your verdict.
In the matter of the Commonwealth versus Wayne Kirkland, re the charge of aggravated assault